see you. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, how you? I know you. I'm tell you something. No joke. Thank I did bring you
All right, it's 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Ask Commissioner Hughes if she would say an invocation, then we'll have the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for such a beautiful day today, God. Thank you for allowing us to be here. We ask that you continue to bless those that serve in the armed forces. We ask that you continue to keep them. Lord, as we get ready to go into our meeting, we ask that you give us guidance, dear God, that we may do what is right in this community and lift those that we serve. We ask you all these blessings in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have anyone in the audience who wants to come to the podium and speak to us about anything? It's a 5-minute time.
Chris Burkle, 2450 Madison Drive, Incorporated, Tift County. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to brag on accomplishments of one of the arms of government that doesn't get a lot of recognition, and that's the Tift County Development Authority. A lot of people don't know what they do. I asked some of my fellow citizens why the Tift County Development Authority exists, and some thought maybe it helps to build duplexes. Others thought it was some kind of a jobs program. Nobody seemed to know for sure, so I did some research. I do know that they were allocated $6 million from the SPLOS 6 sales tax. I know that the board voted to allocate another $3 million to the Development Authority from SPLOS 7 if the voters approve that. And I know that the authority has petitioned to have some agricultural land rezoned in the past. And I know that the authority owns 32 properties in Tift County, including the Coca-Cola factory, the Work Smart Occupational Medicine Clinic, part of Turner's Distribution Center, the Heatcraft Building, and a lot of other properties. And I did discover that its role is actually defined in the financial statement for the county. It says that the Development Authority is responsible for promoting industrial and commercial development within Tift County. And there was a line about tax abatements. So again, quoting from the financial statement, under agreements entered into by the Tift County Development Authority, real and personal property tax revenues not collected during the year that ended June 30th, 2022, that would otherwise have gone to the county, but for the agreements, totaled $696,728. But it still leaves a lot of kind of questions for me that I'd like to share with citizens, giving you an opportunity to talk about. I don't know what the Development Authority spends money on. I don't know who's on the governing board. I don't know when and where they meet. I don't know where I can read minutes of the meetings. I don't know what any of the tax abatement agreements are that are in effect. And I think most importantly, how will paying the Development Authority $3 million from the proposed new SPLOST 7 tax help regular citizens? And so I'd just like to give you an opportunity to talk about that anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. All right, anyone else want to speak to us? If you hear about any of the zoning issues, there'll be a public hearing on that later on. You have your opportunity to speak then, but anyone else in the audience might talk to us about anything. All right, seeing none, we move on to appointments. We have a proclamation for the Tift County Council on Children and Youth. We'll light up your world, so right there. All right, the proclamation reads, whereas the Tift County Commission on Children and Youth works closely with many partners in the community to foster relationships with local partners, increase policymakers' awareness of local issues, put into action proven practices, and leverage additional funding to support the community plan for Tift County. And whereas the vision of this community-wide event is that luminaries will be lit all over the county at the same time with the same mission of working together for the best interests of our children, while envisioning that anywhere you go in Tift County, you will see the light and recognize how unified we are as a community in our efforts to ensure that children have a safe and caring environment. And whereas the hope of the Tift County Commission on Children and Youth is that throughout the year, our community will provide programs for our youth that encourage involvement in positive activities, and therefore I, Tony McBrayer, Chairman of the Tift County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the Board and Tift County, do proclaim October 18th, 2023, Go Light Up Your World Day in Tift County, and in doing so, urge all citizens to join in with this organization as we endeavor to provide the best community and environment for the children, youth, and families in Tift County. So we'd like to present this to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate y'all's efforts on what y'all do.
Thank you.
All right,
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
You all, when you see these things around town, just remember what we're saying for a couple of hours when we have the candles lit, that there are organizations here in town that care about our youth. That includes, of course, the YMCA, the hospital, the Board of Education, the schools, et cetera, et cetera. And we will have a lot of these things lit on the 18th. So please think about that. And if you have some extra time that you would like to be, either come to listen to some of our meetings, we'd love to have you. If you would like to be part of our organization, we would love to have you in our organization as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, we have one item to be added to the agenda. Tift County Sheriff's Office, the inmate shower project. We have a motion to add this to the agenda. So moved.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner, you second, all in favor? All right. Now we approve our minutes for the work session on September 5th, 2023, regular session on September 11th, 2023, and executive session on September 11th, 2023. All right, Commissioner Hester made a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Wood seconded. All in favor? All right. Now we'll move on to public hearing. The first one is TCTA 23-05. Chris?
Chairman Board. The first one we have up tonight is a consideration a commercial overlay. We looked at this at the direction of the board with all the past rezonings along Highway 82 West for commercial projects to go out that way, for retail business to go that way, and potential growth as we have continued people calling about Highway 82 West and going towards Tata. We and the staff and the county manager designed a commercial overlay beginning at, as you see in your packets, address 3732 Highway West, which is the Massey restoration building on both sides of Highway 82 going towards Tata at a distance of 1,000 feet from the center line of Highway 82 going in both directions, north and south. What this overlay would do would give general business and community commercial classification retail stores and stuff like that to go into that overlay without having to rezone those properties and have a potential spot rezoning, or even having commercial zoning that would span out in several acres out from Highway 82. Our comprehensive comp plan shows our commercial growth going out Highway 82 West. So in that direction and for the direction of the board, we have in your packets the maps that would provide the delineated area. This would not change any zoning for those properties currently, or those property owners wouldn't change their uses. This would just allow any future commercial business that would fall in those CC and GB zone districts to go out there as a use by right. The Planning Commission heard this and has recommended approval with the exception they would like to have changed the beginning spot from 3732 Highway 82 West. They would like to move it out to Ray Taylor Road and Isabel National Highway roads. You have that map as well in your packet. This we feel would considerably change anybody coming in to rezone in the future for commercial, and would also keep the aesthetics of what's already out there beyond 1,000 foot each way.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, sure. The clerk handed out some language there, and it's titled 2.02.0 and generally. This is descriptive language that really kind of puts in place what we discussed at the last meeting, what the board discussed, and the county attorney is prepared to, I guess, enlighten us a little bit on how that gets implemented.
Yeah, but technically, you're doing a text amendment and making a change to the ordinance, and with the decision, whichever way it goes to the overlay. The verbiage that's been provided, it really is designed to, is table of contents verbiage. It's designed to provide placeholder and information to direct you to that. So when we approve this, we'll want to also approve the highlighted areas that are on 2.02.01 and 2.02.04. So unless you reject that, if you approve the map, whichever one you choose, we'll approve this language so it'll have a home in their table of contents.
Mr. Chairman, I guess the next thing is, does the board have questions for staff on what Chris just went over and what Tony just kind of laid out for you?
Any questions? All right,
Thank you.
Okay, so ready?
yes, sir. We're right.
It's ready for a public hearing. So what we'll do at this time is we'll open the public hearing. We'll take any comment either for or against the proposed overlay at this time. So anyone that wants to speak, please come forward. State your name and address clearly in the microphone for the record. Okay. Last call. Mr. Chairman, we'll close the public hearing. As no one has come to speak, and this matter is ready for action.
All right, so we would need a motion to also include which map that you want to.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. You could refer to those in the motion as the staff map or the planning commission map. That'll just kind of the map prepared by staff, submitted by staff, or the map as recommended by the planning commission. So one you would see outlined in green in your packet, the other one has the yellow boundary.
Any questions or any confusion about two different maps?
The one outlined in green is the
it picks up from, if you look at, those parcels, there's actually, I guess it looks like orange in your map. Those are actually connects to other GB, other zoning that was already in place, and it takes it all the way to the city limits of Tata. And if you were to come down a little farther to the yellow map, it actually skips over what is predominantly on the north side of the country club, on the south side ag, and picks up at Ray Taylor Road and moves to the city limits of Tata.
All right, we have a motion.
I make a motion that we go with the staff's recommendation for the overlay.
All right, we have a second. Second.
So that'll be from 3237 Highway 41 South to Tata City.
82 West.
82.
82 West.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you. All right, second zoning issue 6.2 TZ-ZA23-09B.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, staff would recommend that this be removed from the agenda. This is a petition for rezoning made by George Hunt III, or three, I can't read, Family Trust on George Hunt. There's a lot of 4s and 5s in there, but by the Hunt family for the rezoning of 7.86 acres in that particular area. This overlay will actually take care of that. So,
All right, we have a motion to remove this from the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Chris, I'll leave anything out of that.
Webb, Wood, motion,
Wood.
Webb, second it. All in favor? All right, thank you. All right, next one, 6.3 TZZA23-10.
Board and Chairman, this is application submitted by David Joe Riddle, owner, Michael Bowen, applicant. This is for the rezoning of a piece of property located at 1949 Old Ocilla Road. The current zoning of that property is R21, medium density. They wish to rezone this piece of property to CC Community Commercial for the purpose of having a convenience store with gas pumps. As you can see in your map, this is the property right across the road from Dr. Howard's Clinic. Dr. Howard's Clinic is already zoned community commercial. And on the opposite side of that intersection, there's a daycare, child care. There, it's also zoned community commercial. This is not spot zoning. This falls contiguous with it. This current piece of property has been vacant for years. There's an old house there that hasn't had anything been done to it in many years. They've tried to do stuff with that property, but just have failed because of the zoning was holding it back. As you can tell, or as you see in your map or in your packets, I've included, there were some concerns about the flood zone. To be clear about the flood zone, there's nothing preventing you from building a flood zone. You have to build to a certain standard, but you can build in a flood zone. I've also provided in your packets a map with the wetland map, which are all these you can see online. There is no wetland there on that particular property other than the pond itself. The wetland is contained completely to the pond. This property also backs up to a Georgia Power substation on one side. It does have a residential in the back. From my understanding from the agent, they are going to leave that back portion of that property wooded to give them an extra buffer from the residential homes. They don't actually wish to develop that back piece. But also our ordinance does say that any commercial use has to be buffered and fenced from any adjoining residential district. So if approved, and if they move forward, they would have to follow all the guidelines of the United Development Code. They submitted what their preliminary drawings look like. You have those in your packet as well. All those meet the requirements of the UDC. The Planning Commission heard this case on September 14th and recommended approval. If there are any questions from the board, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
All right, any questions? All right,
Thank you, board.
Mr. Rowell for the public hearing.
Thank you. Once again, it's a public hearing for TC-ZA-23-10. We'll open the public hearing, and anyone that wants to speak for or against that may come forward, state your name and address, and speak clearly. Come on.
All right, well,
My name is Michael Bowen. I live at 206 West 26th Street here in Tifton, Georgia. I'm the agent for this application. I appreciate your time this evening again. As Chris mentioned, we presented this request to the Planning Commission on September 14th, and that recommending body did vote in the majority to recommend approval. I'm glad that you have a packet of information in front of you related to the site plan as well as some of the detail. As Chris mentioned, the lot currently hosts a 2,000 square foot single family residential home that has not been occupied for some amount of time. To your right is a rendering, or excuse me, an aerial of the location as it stands, and as mentioned, across the street is the Howard Center and facility. So to the northeast is the Georgia Power substation, and you have Lowwater Road there bounding the property. Inside of your packets and in the rendering that I'll bring to the front in just a moment is the master site plan as drawn currently. It includes roughly 4,800 square foot facility and 3 islands of gas station pumps. You're probably likely familiar with this intersection, so for the sake of speed and clarity, we'll kind of move forward to some of the things that I want to highlight as strengths, and then also some things that were brought up in the Planning Commission meeting that I'll just like to address here for the record briefly. As the plan shows, and I'll go ahead and show the rendering now, the property is designed to not take up more than half of the available lot space. It stops, basically terminates where the substation terminates in terms of depth into the property, leaving effectively the buffer that Chris mentioned. Of course, that will be in addition to all required additional buffers and screening measures, including fencing between the property and the neighboring residential uses. With that being said, the strength that I also want to note about this from a public good perspective is the idea that the property will have to have the sewer line brought from about 600 feet away around South Kent Road on the way to the high school. And in doing that, that will now be an available line for other properties to tap into as well. The developer and the owner are going in on that pipe 50-50, which is a unique attribute of this situation. And it shows their commitment in terms of creating a valuable development that's not just focused on the private enterprise itself, but also for the public good. I want to move on to some of the items that I think were of concern during the last meeting quickly, which would include traffic. So we have designed the traffic to be as smooth as possible in terms of ingress and egress to the site. The old Oscilla entrance is as far north as it could be to the property. The Lowwater entrance is away from the intersection, and because Lowwater does circle around to Bellflower, entrance and exits on the property, the vehicular traffic has a choice to altogether avoid that intersection altogether if they so choose. But I think one of the main concerns that I just quickly will address again would be the flood. As Chris mentioned, this isn't a flood zone, but what that means is we're kicked into a higher standard of design, which really means that what we have in the site plan that you have in front of you is a system that's designed to detain the amount of water, the highest amount of water that on average occurs in this area every 100 years. And that standard, amongst others like it, have only gotten more stringent, but so is the technology and the civil design innovations as well. So in that, we do not feel that the stormwater concerns from some of the citizens that have been reasonably brought forward should be or hold a bearing upon the stormwater design and system here for this property and our ability to move forward. Finally, quickly, the idea that this structure might bring upon itself some vandalism or trash is not unreasonable, but anytime you build a public facility in any location, you're going to be inviting public entrance on the property that may or may not behave in a manner that you would want. And I would argue that this facility with its lighting, security cameras, and professional management staff will represent a safer environment than the unoccupied, unlit, arguably unmaintained single-family residential home that stands there now. I'll go ahead and truncate the rest of my remarks and allow others to speak, but again, we're excited about this from the standpoint of not only being the highest and best use, but also bringing a development that raises the tax base, provides new sewer line, and honestly provides food and gas in what could be arguably considered a miniature food desert. An area, if you think north, south, east, or west, where can you go for food and gas in this spot? The closest facilities are some ways away. So we're excited about the prospect. We appreciate your time here this evening, and I'll conclude my remarks there and make myself available for any questions as well, if the board so chooses.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this project? All right. Anyone else that would oppose or would like to speak to this project in any way, form, or fashion, please?
Before we begin, I'm not sure what the protocol is. I have a petition. I don't know if I can submit this or not. It's 27 signatures of residents that oppose this petition. Good evening, Honorable Commissioners. My name is Jeremy Little, and I'm a Tift County resident, property owner, and landowner who resides at 2605 Lower Road. I'm here tonight to voice my opposition to the zoning proposal for application TCZA 2310. This property is adjacent to two separate tracts of my land. It is also partially separated by a small fishing pond that I share ownership in with the owners of 1949 Old Silver Road. I do vehemently oppose this zoning request, and I would like to explain my reasons as to why. They are in no particular order. First reason, I'm highly concerned about the possible detrimental effects that underground gas storage tanks could have over a period of time on the pond, as well as another pond located across the street on Lowwater, and also a creek that is situated in the wood line back toward the hospital. I, along with several of my neighbors, utilize a well for drinking water, and I fear that after a prolonged period of time, leakage from such underground tanks is possible and could have a dire effect on the groundwater. Reason number two, I feel that a convenience store will bring much more unnecessary traffic down Lowwater Road. The posted speed limit is 30 miles per hour, but I can testify that I see vehicles travel along our quiet residential street much faster than this, sometimes in excess of double the speed limit. I should note here that I am a post-certified law enforcement officer who is trained in speed detection. Part of that training requires me to be able to visually estimate the speed of moving vehicles. So it is therefore no exaggeration when I say these vehicles that I see speeding are clearly speeding. Reason number three, convenience stores typically bring more crime into an area. I can point out multiple stores in Tifton and Tift County that have caused crime within their respective areas to rise, and with that crime, a subsequent decrease in property values. Convenience stores can be havens for vagrants. In addition to my home, I also own a separate tract of land along the northwest corner of the 5.12 acres of property, which is the subject of this rezoning. This land is primarily covered with pine trees and has been kept that way because it serves as a buffer from the other houses around me. I feel that the small pine forest would be an ideal target for such vagrants to seek refuge to squat on. And reason number four, there will likely be traffic issues at the intersection of Old O'Siller Road and Lowwater Road and Richards Drive. This is a highly congested intersection during the mornings and afternoons, particularly when school is in session, and due to the high school being within close vicinity. There is a small daycare is also situated on the southeast corner of Richards Drive along with the Howard Center on the northeast corner. I am aware through my occupation that there have been numerous vehicle crashes at this particular intersection. Adding a convenience store at 1949 Old O'Siller Road will only serve to further contribute further to this already heavy congestion. I will note that the northernmost entrance to the property at 1949 The Old Osceola is approximately 250 feet from the traffic light located at Old Osceola, Low Water, and Richards. I'm not sure that there's even enough room to add a deceleration or turning lane on Old Osceola for northbound traffic. If the main entrance to this proposed establishment is to be off Low Water, a residential street, I would question whether or not this road is even suitable for the added flow of traffic, as well as the heavy tractor trailers that will be required to deliver goods and fuel to the establishment. Reason number 5. Because the owners of 1949 Old Osceola Road have partial ownership over the pond, I fear that having a convenience store on this property will allow for anyone to fish on that side. I do have a vested interest in this pond, as I've spent my time and hard-earned money trying to keep it clean and stocked with fish. I also fear a store at this location will cause more pollution to the pond. Many customers at these stores will typically throw trash onto the ground. This could lead to the wind blowing trash into the pond, and as I've already had problems with this, passing motorists choosing to discard their trash by throwing it directly into the pond. I had retrieved numerous beer and soda cans, candy wrappers, and potato chip bags and fast food bags from in and around the pond, nearest to the roadway whenever I do my yard work. Putting a convenience store at this location is going to contribute further to this problem. Such litter will be problematic not only for the pond, but for the landscape in this area, where there are nice homes with manicured lawns. Reason number 6. The lot at 1949 Old Osceola is in a flood zone. Building it up could possibly cause flooding in the surrounding areas without a proper hydrology study. My home is at the edge of a flood zone, and I fear a wash off into the pond could lead to potential flooding issues in my yard. I have already invested in a sump pump that I have installed underneath my home to combat rising water when we get heavy rains and or flash flooding in the area. I do not need any additional water during such downpours. Reason number 7. There will be excessive illumination in the evening hours brought on by the bright canopy lights above the gas pumps as well as those from the store itself. Reason number 8. Adding a convenience store will disrupt the wildlife in the area. We have numerous deer that wander throughout our yards, the yards of our homes along the Low Water. Reason number 9. The applicants have laid out the framework for what looks to be a nice structure which they contend will blend in with the surrounding community. However, another concern I have, which is frequent with that of convenience stores, is that they are commonly built and then after a period of time they are flipped or sold to other owners who may have no interest in the neighborhood that the store is in other than the profit that he or she can make from the business. This oftentimes would be the beginning stages of the store looking run down and unclean with trash strewn along the parking lot. The trash is that same trash that I mentioned earlier blend up along our road, in our yard, and in my pond. In closing, I would like to add that I grew up in this neighborhood. My stepfather bought the house that I currently reside in 1985 when I was 8 years old. We lived there until June of 2000 when my parents sold it and moved off to Savannah so my stepfather could take on another job. It was a very difficult time in my life because I never wanted to leave. I had a great time growing up in this neighborhood. It was always so quiet and peaceful. However, it's funny how things have a way of working themselves out. The opportunity arose in 2018 for me to buy this house back. After many years of establishing myself financially through my career, I jumped on it. It is impossible for me to describe the feeling of pride I still have to this day when I pull into my driveway. I love being back in my old house. It's home. I love this neighborhood and the people in it. We all share a connection of living in a neighborhood that is quiet and peaceful. The petition that I have provided tonight shows proof that we are in unison, that we do not want a convenience store at the end of our road. I will point out that there are a total of 14 residences on Low Water. Of those 14, 13 are represented on this petition. The 14th homeowner is currently out of town and was unable to sign it. There are also residences represented from adjacent roads of Lakewood Avenue, Bellflower Road, and Tyler Way. I will say that while I do not mind seeing development in this area, and I understand that the property located at 1949 Old Osceola is in a prime location, I simply do not feel that a convenience store is suitable for that lot. Many of my neighbors that I've spoken with all seem to agree something such as a doctor's office or medical supply facility would be a much better fit. A business that is open during normal daylight hours, closed at night. I hope you all consider the reasons I have provided and vote no on this issue. The majority of residents who live in this area have voiced their opinion through this petition. We stand together saying we do not want a convenience store in our neighborhood. It would be interesting to know just how many on this panel, or even the applicants themselves, would be willing to vote yes on this proposal if we were being built in your backyard. I ask you to please represent the majority here tonight, which is what we as voters entrusted you to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I want to ask a question. If you insist on running that thing under old Civil Road,
You need his name?
Can you give us your name and address, please?
William E. Van Dyke, 3010 Lowwater Road, Tifton, Georgia. Okay. If you insist on running this under this road and contaminating our wells and our ponds, which will happen eventually, okay? If you insist on doing that, are you gonna run the sewage and the water all the way down there to eliminate that problem down that road? That's my question. Or are you gonna contaminate our wells? Because then, if you don't solve the problem, you might end up having a lawsuit.
Mr. Van Horn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
To kind of answer your question, or to address your question, the Board of Commissioners would not actually take care of the engineering. So if the board were to approve the request, then they would oversee, or staff would oversee, submitted plans of engineered plans, which would take care of, law requires to take care of things you just described. So your question is kind of if the board were to do this. So what the board would do is actually whether approve the rezone or not approve the rezone tonight. And then there would be a set of plans that would be submitted in review.
In review, you're not saying you do it or not?
Well, I mean, they would be required that they have to do it. So, but at this point in time, that's a very legitimate question.
Well, I was curious
Yes,
if
sir.
you just
So-
eliminate the problem before it becomes one.
So for instance, stormwater runoff, just to take one instance first.
Because we have, on the other side of the road, we have, wetlands. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And we got ponds and we got deep wells because we don't have one. And they're gonna be contaminated. Just a matter of time.
But your question, did I kind of cover it for you? Did I answer?
Yeah, but, it didn't answer it, but, it's still up in the air though, you know? Are you gonna solve the problem or not?
Well,
If you're gonna do this, you're gonna solve the problem of the water.
so one more time, I'll try to. So if let's we're talking hypothetically, right? So let's say the board says, okay, we're going to approve this zone. So that would start us at the premise that you're having if you're going to do this. So let's say they approved it. Then it will become incumbent upon the applicant to submit a set of plans which addresses the things that you say you have concerns about, which would be a certain percentage stormwater runoff. You can't, the state law doesn't allow you to have runoff any more than 1% of what the original property allowed to runoff. So that talks about detention, that talks about retention. So there's a lot of things that would come in the process that is not part of where we're at right now. And number one is you made the assumption that they're going to approve it. So if they don't approve it, then there's nothing to do. And if they do approve it, there are laws and policies and procedures in place to address the concerns that you're having.
But you're not going to make a statement one way or the other.
No, I don't know how I can make it out, Ken. So yes, they address.
You have no intentions of running water and sewer down that line if you bring it under that road. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm not sure, that's not what I'm saying, but I'll tell you what, Mr. Moore, I'll be glad to sit down with you and go over this after the meeting or any day you want to come by and kind of show you what the process is, whether it's through this case or any planning and zoning case, what that process is for the development of property by a private developer. The county's not going to develop that property. These commissioners are not going to develop it. A private property owner will develop it. And there are guidelines and laws and regulations that would regulate that development. But right now, they're just talking about whether they're gonna allow it through the zoning process. There'll be a whole nother step where we review, if it were approved, and that's a if they approved it, then there would be a whole nother set, and there a whole nother set of ordinances that govern
Right.
what your question is.
So, well, the reason I asking the question is when I moved there 25 years ago, there was a little pizza size in the woods out there that was city land. Okay? And I said, why don't we have city water and sewage? I said, they got it all around us. Okay? And he said, because most of your property ain't in the city, it's in the county. But over the years, they moved it to my back deck, they moved it to my front house, they moved it out there to the road. Now, they just keep regrowing the lines, you know? Well, now I'm in the city limits, and I still don't have city water and sewer. Okay? And they still ain't put it in. You understand what I'm saying? They told me 25 years ago that was the reason I didn't have it, because I wasn't in the city limits. And I'm in the city limits now, still don't have it. That's why I'm asking.
All right, anyone else?
My name is Jack Thompson, and I live at 2602 Laurel Water Road. My property is basically south side, the lower side of the property that they're talking about. So the convenience store that they're talking about building will actually be in my front yard. I'm not going to run over all the things that Jeremy talked about the trash, the lights, the noise, and the traffic, and the crime. But I do want to talk about the flooding possibility. I am in a floodplain. I do have to buy flood insurance yearly for protection of my property. And that is one of the biggest concerns, that no matter what you do, if you build up this side of the road, the water's gonna come to the low side of the road, and I'm on that low side. And I'm real concerned about it. There is two pipes that leave the water on the high side of the road that comes over onto my property now. I've had to dig a ditch from the edge of the highway back down to the canal that is behind my house. And that canal, when we have a flash flood, it becomes so full that it right now, every time we have a flash flood, it's in my backyard. It's in my wooded area. It gets out of the banks. Any other water that they can push over on me will just be more detrimental to me. And you think if they do everything they say they're gonna do, that might work, but people don't do what they say they're gonna do. They never fulfill that obligation that they're from. Give you a good example. Been a lot of years ago, Harry Doss was with the Tift County Road Service. They decided to dig a canal behind the house, and since that time, the city, which is I guess the southern side of that, has come in there and decided they want to make a hiking trail or a trail for people to walk and exercise on, which is a good idea. But they're 6 foot higher than my side over here. So anytime water comes down that canal, it can't go over on the city side, it goes over on my side. So you understand that I'm talking about a lot of water, and if we allow them to build that side up, now I'm in a valley. And where does water go to the lowest point? And that's my concern. Thank y'all.
All right. Anyone else like to speak, please?
Good evening, honorable commissioners. Pius Ogolowa is my name. I reside on 2811 Lower Water Road. I'm just on the east of Mr. Jeremy, he's my neighbor. I heard about the intentions of rezoning the property at that traffic light at Old Cedar Road and Lower Water Road. And my major concern is that it just doesn't fit, right? A gas station, and also it seems like we're trying to make all these accommodations to make it fit. I'm an engineer, and in my profession, I was trained to understand that, you know, if something is not right, if something is not a natural fit, and trying to make it work, there's always that risk of unintended consequences. And from what I understand, having that gas station built there, we don't know if there's going to be a leak in that fuel tank over time. Now, we drink well water, right? That's my major concern. If that water gets contaminated, I probably will know until it's too late, right? That's one concern. Second concern is I have little kids. They're very excited to go and grab the mail whenever the mail man comes around. Now with increased traffic, I really fear for their safety, right? Because, you know, right now people drive at much higher speed than the speed limit dictates. So, you know, future state when you have that gas station and we don't really know who's coming because we've got the random people trying to access the gas station, I don't know if something bad might happen. I'm really scared about that. You know, that and also the potential of flooding, you know, it really scares me that, you know, if you have that gas station, they will have to try to elevate, you know, the foundation, and that water is going to go to the lowest spot, right? So, which will actually increase the potential for flooding, especially for my other neighbors. So these are my top concerns that really, you know, sways my intention to vote against it. You know, I know at the end of the day, this board will do what is best for the city, but I would like you to consider these potential unintended consequences. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna have a long, poor memory. Jennifer Murphy, 3604 Lowwater Road. Everything my neighbors said, Jeremy Little here, I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about my well water because I don't want gas in my well water. A few years ago, we were here having a meeting because someone wanted to put a nursing home in the area, you know, and which would have been better. Now we have houses there, and, you know, that's been fine. But the thing about it is that the traffic, let me put it this way, I live around that corner. I do not go up to that intersection where the people are making their left turns in front of whoever's coming out of Lowwater Road. I don't use it. There's not a left turn only light there unless there's been one put there since I've seen it. You get a gas station in there, you get all these people coming out of the high school that think they have left turn only. It's just they're, you know, given right because they're in a hurry, they're wanting to get off work home. I know all that. And going back to the, little nervous, don't do public speaking. Going back to the nursing home situation a few years ago, we'd rather have something medical, as Jeremy said, but going back to that, keep losing, to the nursing home situation, if you put this here now, you're just going to have so much. Oh, that's what I was trying to get to. Please forgive me. I got it now. I got it. Going back to that, when we had that little battle or little meeting and everybody came and spoke about the possibility of a nursing home, the commission, whoever was in charge at the time, not a government girl, not all this stuff, said that the main plan they had for our area, for this little group of people that were in Lawwater Road, and the ones that they said, we're committed to leaving this a residential, and that's the promise they made at the time, a residential section. So our house, 30 years, just got it paid off. Saved my well water, helped my poor little foxes that are disrupted 3 at a time coming up the back steps at night, helped my poor old deer. But listen to what Jeremy Little said, and the other, my friend here I don't know yet, well, that's an engineer, because when I hear them, we got law enforcement here, we got engineer, we got people that have been here. I feel like they know what they're talking about some, so I want all those things considered, especially the traffic and the well water. So thank you. I appreciate your listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. I'm saving you for last.
Okay, good. Hate to double dip, but you know.
No, you
don't. My name is Martha Van Horn, and that's my husband that spoke just a little ago. I'm very concerned about the issues that he brought up, but the main one that I'm concerned about as a mother is the traffic at that intersection. 2 times we've been living on Lawwater for almost 25 years or a little bit more. That high school traffic, there's 2 lanes there that goes across Old Ocilla that goes in down to Kent. When you're trying to get off of Lawwater and get back on Old Ocilla, it is a madhouse. You should just come out and watch it sometimes between the morning traffic and the 3 o'clock, and it lasts more than 30 minutes. It's about an hour, hour and a half that it's like that. And I'm concerned about the children. Those young adults do not respect who's got the right of way there. There's only 2 lanes, like you said, on Old Ocilla, 2 lanes on mine, and 2 lanes all the way around. There's not enough room for the amount of traffic that's there now, let alone bringing in a commercial project there. So it's just unreal to be able to, you need to come and see the traffic. It's unreal what it is at that intersection. And I don't know that you would have enough room even to make a turning lane. They did a little bit of work there on Old Ocilla in front of the nursery and put a turning lane. But that's not what it takes. You can sit there and they're coming through that red light about 50 miles an hour, and they don't stop, some of them. I can't even get out when I'm trying to get out on Lawwater and turn on Old Ocilla. I can't even get out. They'll take my right of way away from me. So there's going to be a lot of children get hurt, a lot, for that traffic. And there's not enough room on either side because most of the places are so close to make a turning lane. That's my concern, the children on that safety corner.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Please. Yes, sir.
Alan Murphy, 3604 Lawwater Road. I'm obviously up here to suggest that you not vote in favor of this development. Some concerns in my mind, of course, are the traffic, as has been mentioned. As Jeremy Little mentioned, the potential increase for crime, and I'm sure he has much better background in that area than I have. My other concern is with potential environmental contamination. everyone says, or it has been suggested, that there aren't going to be any leaks from gasoline tanks in the ground. Everyone knows this is not true. There is no such thing as a leak-free tank. Be that as it may, I'm not aware that any sort of study has been done to any extent on environmental impact. Does not this level of development and this kind of development so close to a federally recognized wetland, by the way, which is just across the street, require some sort of environmental impact study to be done? And I haven't heard any sort of mention as to whether or not it's been done. They say, well, we're going to use the right materials, we're going to do the right thing, and so forth, but what's actually been done and what has been proposed to be done? Yes, I understand environmental impact studies are expensive, but that should be the responsibility of anyone who's wishing to develop and make money, which is of course what it's all about. My other comment is on the use of the entire area. They have this very pretty picture here of a potential facility, and they say, oh, we're only going to use half of that, a little bit over 5 acres. And they said, we're just going to leave the back of it totally unused. I find this a little hard to believe and hard to accept. What is the hidden agenda here? What is the hidden agenda? We're going to do something else. Oh, we're not going to do anything with that. Are you? Can you prove? What could happen in 5, 10, 15 years' time? Oh, we bought that and we're going to develop it for another use, or we're going to expand the convenience store from 3 islands to 6, or whatever. The thing is that those of us who are being impacted by it have no information in that area. True, complete disclosure would be highly appreciated and the really only moral thing to do along with an environmental impact study. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Sorry to double dip, but Chris Birchall, 2415 Madison Drive. First, Mr. Chairman, I just want to remind the board of how much authority you have in this case. I mean, sometimes, you know, I come to a lot of these meetings and I hear, well, the owner is the landowner and they have this authority. They own the land, they do what they want on the land, they come to us, we have to let them do it. It just isn't true. I mean, it's just not true. The landowner has authority to use the land within the zoning ordinances. Full stop, end of story. So the landowner is coming and asking for additional rights for free that they don't currently have. They're asking you to give them rights for free they don't currently have. Now sometimes that's a good idea. Sometimes that's a good idea because that might be able to solve some us problems, you know, some us problems. But